The race for Maryland's next governor is heating up as several candidates vie to unseat Governor Wes Moore.
I'm here to announce that I'm going to run for governor as a Republican.
With policy proposals ranging from the budget.
If we can help get the spending under control, the taxes will follow.
To education.
I will work with the legislature to repeal the blueprint and to build a public school system that makes sense.
I'm going in depth on next year's gubernatorial election and what the field looks like so far. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of Fox 45 News in Depth. I'm Mackenzie Frost. We're taking a deep dive into the 2026 gubernatorial election. There's still a little more than a year until Marylanders will cast their votes, either to choose a new governor or re-elect Wes Moore. But the race is already starting to heat up. Joining me now in studio is Senate Minority Leader Steve Hershey. Thank you so much for joining us. I understand you have some news to share.
Well, Mackenzie, thanks for having me on. I certainly do. You know, after a number of conversations with Marylanders across the state, I have taken the step today to formally create an exploratory committee to run for governor of Maryland.
What made you decide to take this step?
You know, I think that there has been quite a change in the perception and what Governor Moore is doing. And at the end of the day, I think Marylanders deserve a real choice, because we need to see balance in the form of government in Maryland. Right now, the General Assembly is leaning way to the left. We now have a Democrat governor who is experimenting with how far left he can actually get, and Marylanders want balance. And I thought at the end of the day, we need to be able to bring those issues up, have those conversations about important competing views, and see if we can end up running for governor and make an impression on Marylanders.
So you haven't announced, you're not actually running yet. You're still thinking about the idea. You're exploring the option of actually running. So you're forming this committee. And covering you in the State House and the General Assembly, I know that you have long pushed to prevent tax increases, and that was a big issue during this last General Assembly. The governor and Democrats in the General Assembly argued that they had a high bar. We heard that from the governor. He had a high bar to raise taxes. But we also know at the end of the day, this last year, that taxes and fees did go up. I want you to listen to something that we heard from the governor at the end of session. This was a conversation that I had with the governor on the final day of session. I asked him about what the end result was. Take a listen to what he had to say. People will still see the headlines with $1.6 billion in tax increases, though. Do you think that they really will be thankful for a government who is taxing them more, given the fact that we are seeing all of the other federal actions?
I think you are watching a state government that is giving the middle class a tax cut in this moment. I think you are going to watch a state government that's about to do the largest amount of cuts to a Maryland state budget that we have seen literally in over a generation.
Do you think it's fair to say that Marylanders, middle-class Marylanders, will feel a tax cut?
Middle-class Marylanders will definitely feel the increases of Governor Moore's taxes, and they'll feel the increases, obviously, when they go to register a car, purchase a new car. Governor Moore has been very good on message discipline. But the reality that everybody knows is when the governor got into office, he inherited a $5 billion fiscal surplus. Before we went into legislative session, we were at a $3 billion fiscal deficit. He spent in his first 2 years $8 billion, and there's no accountability to where that went. So in change of that, he has now increased and put forward the largest tax increase we've ever seen in Maryland, $1.6 billion. And yet he's walking around saying that he's provided tax cuts for middle-class Marylanders. Nobody believes that. And it's something for the governor to be able to continue to say that, but at the same time, that's the type of message and that's the type of conversations that we want to have to make sure Marylanders know that that's not what happened in the General Assembly, that Marylanders will be paying more and that they will see cost increase, whether it's in buying vehicles, electricity, what they see in the stores, everything will increase in Maryland. It will be more expensive to be a Marylander, to be a Marylander.
And when it comes to the electricity, that's another issue that obviously you have been talking a lot about during the General Assembly and Republicans alike. Is that something that you plan to really zero in on as you continue to have these conversations? And do you hear that from your constituents as well, their concern about the cost of their electricity?
It's probably the issue that we hear about more than anything else. And what the Democrats in Annapolis have done is essentially put in a hidden tax. So from going forward with all of their radical environmental policies, they have been able to do that under the guise of higher energy costs. So it doesn't appear as though they have increased taxes, but essentially they have. And Marylanders now starting to feel it, especially in this month's bill. People are finally seeing higher rates for electricity, understanding that what we're trying to say is that these are a direct result of the policies that they've created and what's happening. So we need more reliable energy, and that's something that I've always fought for. We need it to be affordable. Again, that's something I fought for. Right now, we're dependent on Pennsylvania to get most of our electricity from. So that needs to change. We need to be able to change the environment to enhance and allow energy generators to come into the state of Maryland and produce for ourselves.
The issue of nuclear energy came up during this last legislative session, too. Where do you stand on generating more nuclear power? I know that that is a long-term strategy for the state of Maryland. Is that something that you would push for?
Well, it is a long-term strategy, and that's why the Democrats have embraced it, because they recognize that nothing soon will happen if they embrace nuclear power. Yes, we need to take a harder look at nuclear power. We also need to take a look at gas-generated electricity. We need to go back to the areas that we have the natural resources and able to produce energy. Western Maryland has a ban on fracking. We need to change that. I had legislation in this year that was going to remove that ban on fracking. We have the ability to create our own energy, to put it on the grid and make it, again, cheaper and reliable. But unfortunately, the policies that Democrats have put in place have prevented that.
Do you think that changing the ban on fracking would help you in an election? I mean, that is probably not a very popular position to take in a state like Maryland.
You know, again, I think when people look at their electric bills and recognize that there's no opportunity for electric bills to get cheaper, when they finally start to realize that we're closing 2 coal-fired plants in Anne Arundel County, that will cost more money. When they realize that we're having to build a transmission line from Pennsylvania into Maryland to bring electricity, that will cost more money. To be able to frack in Maryland and only the small parts of fracking, that's not a horrible idea. That's energy independence, and Maryland needs to look forward to that.
I want to pivot to the relationship that Maryland has with the federal government, because that is another major topic for Governor Wes Moore. He obviously, right now, the back and forth with President Donald Trump and the conversation about whether the president is going to withdraw funding for the Key Bridge. Now, that obviously would have to come from a vote from Congress, but do you think that it is a position that you would take? How would you handle the relationship with the president?
Well, again, I think what Governor Moore has done recently and what we've seen is that the governor from California and the governor from Illinois were getting a lot of media attention. And Governor Moore was on the outside and not getting anything. So all of a sudden he decided that he's going to pick a fight with President Trump. You know, again, Maryland relies so much on the federal government, not just for employment, but, you know, Maryland lost the FBI building. That's now going to be relocated in D.C. and not come to Maryland. Fortunately, President Trump just stopped offshore wind, which, again, although we need energy, that's not the right kind. That's the most expensive energy out there. And then all of a sudden, the president brings up the Key Bridge. That bridge is so vital to Marylanders and our economy that is not something that the governor should not be putting out on the table as a bargaining chip. And what he's doing right now is allowing President Trump to negotiate and to say, hey, you know what, unless you're allowing me to do certain things, the funding will not come. So I think it's very, very important that the governor has a working relationship with the President of the United States, again, because of our reliance on that. And the Key Bridge is one of those issues I think can be, at the end of the day, a real campaign issue that's something that is going to be both sides, who can deliver the Key Bridge and who can't.
Well, speaking of the campaign, we know that if you decide to take this step and actually get into the primary, it's going to be a crowded Republican primary. We saw Ed Hale decide to swap parties, going from a Democrat to a Republican. And you had some pretty strong words for him when he decided to make that switch. And I asked him about your statement. He responded on Fox 45 News. Take a listen to what he had to say about that.
Nonsense. I hear he wants to run for governor. And I've been a conservative person ever since 1995 in terms of, you know, just my business. You sign the front of a paycheck, you are a person that becomes conservative pretty quickly.
What do you have to say to that?
He might think he's a conservative person. He might run businesses, which we do understand. But the fact of the matter is he's a Democrat, and he's still a Democrat. And as again, I was at the Board of Elections today. Ed Hale has not changed party affiliation yet. So for him to come out and say that all of a sudden I'm going to enter the Republican primary because I can't beat Governor Moore in a Democrat primary, I don't know what makes him think he can come into our party after years and years and years being a lifelong Democrat and saying at the last minute, I'm going to be a Republican and therefore embrace me. Republicans are not going to do. They know the difference between conviction and convenience. And they will recognize that right now, Ed Hale is looking for a party to convenience, someone to welcome him. I don't think that the Republican Party welcomes him, but that'll be a campaign issue. And if that's what we have to talk about, I certainly welcome the opportunity to run against a Democrat in the Republican primary.
So what will you make the decision? What's the timeline for you to ultimately decide I'm in or I'm out?
You know, I think what we're going to do in the next 60 to 90 days is go out and try to raise money and see where we are and what type of support we see when it comes to raising money and being able to do that. We're also going to work on our messaging. We're going to go what we have to say, you know, not only in a Republican primary, and again, I've been a Republican for my whole life. You know, we've been working on fiscal discipline. We've been working on clean, reliable energy. We've been working on accessible health care and safer communities. I've got that on place. But then what we have to do is see how this messaging works against Governor Moore. I'd say right now Governor Moore is the weakest he's ever been. And it might not be in popularity. You know, again, he's a very charismatic guy. He does, you know, a lot of good things out there. But in terms of the decisions he's making, in terms of what he's doing to President Trump, in terms of going out and sitting on a yacht in Lake Como with George Clooney, those are not the things that Marylanders want to see. Marylanders want to see a governor that's in Maryland, not looking as Maryland as a stepping stone, not looking to run for president. And we're going to go out, we're going to test that messaging, we're going to see where that is, we're going to do some polling. And if the polling comes back where I see that there's a viable chance, a real chance to go out and win the race, then we're going to get in it.
All right. Well, Senator Hershey, I appreciate you coming on and sharing the news first here. And thank you. We'll obviously be following along and keep us updated along the way.
I will. Thank you very much.
All right. A number of candidates are hoping to unseat Governor Moore in next year's election. We'll take a look at some of those other campaigns coming up next.
I was in a car accident and lost my memories of the last 8 years of my life.
This fall, Fox's critically acclaimed hit Doc returns.
I need to be the doctor that I was. I'll do whatever it takes.
Follow the journey as Felicity Huffman joins the cast.
Every path we choose comes with a price. What's wrong? I just had a memory.
Doc returns Tuesday, September 23rd on Baltimore's Fox 45.
Seasons change, and so do your comfort needs. Get a $69 seasonal tune-up from Blue Dot. Make sure your HVAC system is running at peak efficiency, right when you need it most. Call 1-800-BLUE-DOT to schedule your appointment today.
When it comes to healthcare, your choice matters. Choose Jai Medical Systems, an NCQA-accredited Medicaid health plan. For over 25 years, Jai Medical Systems has been leading the way as one of the highest-rated Medicaid health plans in Maryland. So make your choice matter and join Jai Medical Systems today. For more information about Jai Medical Systems or to find out if you qualify for coverage, please call us at 1-888-JAI-1999 or visit us online at jaimedicalsystems.com.
Your mornings never stop moving, so beat the slowdowns with the Len Stiller Traffic Network. Fox 45 Morning News monitors live road conditions, helping you get around gridlock.
Left lane that's currently closed.
Stay in the fast lane with Fox 45 Morning News and the Len Stiller Traffic Network.
With less pain and swelling from active psoriatic arthritis. Imagine being a million miles away. With Tremfya, less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. Some patients even felt less fatigued. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
Time's running out to save up to $7,200 and lock in payments as low as $171 a month on a new HVAC system from Blue Dot. Act now. Federal tax credits expire after December. Call 1-800-BLUE-DOT today.
As Senator Hershey explores a campaign for governor and Governor Wes Moore indicates he's seeking re-election, we're getting a better sense of the playing field heading into the 2026 election. It's still early, but we're starting to see some key players emerge as we approach the primaries. So far, Governor Moore doesn't seem to have a major competitor in the primary, even as the Republican field starts to widen. Governor Wes Moore was facing a Democratic challenger, Ed Hale, but that changed.
I'm here to announce that I'm going to run for governor as a Republican.
Now the Republican field is looking crowded. Hale, the Baltimore businessman, jumped in with several other candidates, including Delegate Christopher Boucher, farmer Kurt Wiedekind, and law enforcement veteran John Myrick. Hale is leading with his business background, arguing his experience building companies and leading employees will resonate with voters.
What we have right now are these career politicians and smiling faces that really, really don't give a. You all know it. I do. I care.
Delegate Boucher has several ideas in his pocket. He's a small business guy and says he has seen firsthand the impact of Maryland's tax system. That's why he's pitching a flat tax.
I targeted what I called a 333 policy, where you tax 3% on a flat rate wage, salary, income. You tax 3% in consumption sales tax. The state excise tax is 6%. We can cut that in half. And the third of the threes is a capital gains tax.
Boucher also supports changing how political districts are drawn in the state. Near Westminster, Kurt Wiedekind calls this property home. He's been self-employed for more than 30 years, is a small business owner, and is looking to shake things up in Annapolis. Why did you decide to run for governor?
I have no political, that wasn't my thing, right? So the way that things are going now, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It would be really good if somebody would do something, and I just figured, if not me, who?
He says he's ready to work on Maryland's budget and make the old line state a little more affordable for everyone.
We have a spending problem, in addition to a tax problem, but I think if we can help get the spending under control, the taxes will follow. I think that job creation is big, but I don't know that job creation through the government is the only way to do it.
John Myrick, a former Harford County Sheriff's deputy and member of the U.S. Air Force Reserves before he retired, is also vying for Republican voter support. Like most of the other candidates, Myrick takes issue with the current state of Maryland's finances.
His fiscal policies are absolutely abysmal.
So how would you solve some of those biggest problems if you were to be elected?
When these people in Annapolis run out of cash, they simply reach deeper into Marylanders' pockets, and that's got to stop. We need accountability.
He wants to change the blueprint, Maryland's multi-billion-dollar education spending plan mandated by lawmakers.
I will work with the legislature to repeal the blueprint and to build a public school system that makes sense, which is one of the reasons that for a lieutenant governor running mate, I chose a school teacher.
Again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Ed.
After Hale made the party switch, the Democratic Governors Association issued a statement pushing back, calling him an out-of-touch Republican candidate who changed parties after quickly realizing running in a Democratic primary was nothing more than a bizarre fantasy. But Hale says he's not worried about being viewed as a party flip-flopper.
I don't care.
How are voters expected to trust where your values lie if you're willing to leave one party because you say that you don't view a path to success?
I let my record speak for itself. I've created jobs, I've built things, I've been fair to a lot of people. I've made billions of dollars of loans all around within a 2-hour car ride of here. I've done that. And if you want to talk about a label for me, I'm the wrong person.
Whoever comes out on top in the GOP primary will likely face the incumbent Wes Moore. Recent polling shows Moore's support is slipping, though. 5 in 10 people surveyed in late July said they approve of Moore's job performance, and the gap between Marylanders who approve and disapprove of the governor's job performance was 8 percentage points, a 13-point drop in 6 months. But the candidates have time to build their platforms and make their pitches to voters. Primary election day in Maryland is June 23rd, 2026. Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan could also throw his hat in the ring. In a social media post last month, Hogan hinted at a potential run. He posted 2 photos of his campaign tour bus from the 2023 Senate race, captioning it "slightly used 2024 RV. I guess we could always rewrap it and get it back out on the road."
I have not spent time looking at anyone's tweets. Too busy making sure that the impacts of the Trump administration don't hurt everyday Marylanders. So that's been my focus, and that's going to be my focus. Anybody who wants to try, come on.
Earlier this summer, I asked Hogan whether he was planning to run for governor, but he wouldn't give a straight answer. Sounded like you were laying the groundwork for maybe what's next.
I saw a little smirk when she offered, like if you were governor.
You say governors can't, they got to do more than make speeches. Is that a slight?
I'm enjoying retirement and talking about bipartisanship.
And then what?
That's keeping me pretty happy right now, spending time with the family and grandkids, doing a little business.
Joining me now to talk about the widening field of candidates is Roger Hartley, Dean of the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I appreciate your insight. First, let's dive right into the big news of the Senate Minority Leader, Steve Hershey, launching an exploratory committee, obviously not officially launching the bid for governor yet. But at this point, if he does decide to take the next step, what does that mean for the Republican primary?
Well, this is a big entry into the Republican field, to say the least. Steve Hershey, senator from the Eastern Shore, is a minority leader of the Senate. He has done public service. He has a record. He's clearly conservative on almost all the right issues for conservative voters. So he presents a very strong, serious candidate for the Republican primaries. Absolutely.
At this point, out of all of the other candidates, if Larry Hogan doesn't jump into the race, would he be the front runner?
He is, and if you all got a chance to hear him earlier, he is smooth, he is knowledgeable, he knows the issues, and he is clearly a conservative, and he is going to appeal very well to the conservative voters in the Republican Party, and those are the ones that are more likely to come out in a primary, of course.
Right. Now, looking ahead to the general election, he does have some experience working across the aisle, obviously working in the General Assembly. How do you think that would play with Democrats, or perhaps, moderate Democrats voting in a general?
That's where it's harder, of course. This is still a very, very blue state, even though it's an off non-presidential year. Someone like Larry Hogan, who has for many years been very bipartisan, has kind of triangulated to the middle and appealed to Democrats. Steve Hershey, Senator Hershey, would need to appeal to Democrats and really work hard to turn out independents. And that is a hard thing to do in enough numbers as Larry Hogan did. He'd have to play the Larry Hogan formula. And that may not play so well with his base, certainly in this primary, if he played the Larry Hogan formula.
We don't know what Larry Hogan is going to do. Obviously, we saw the social media post, but he hasn't decided, and he won't, really say one way or the other. If he doesn't decide to jump into this race, and we have the candidates that we have right now, what will be the biggest issue for these candidates that they will have to talk to voters about?
Well, they're going to have to talk to voters about conservative issues, issues that are really important to that base to kind of appeal and get out of get out of the pack, so to speak. I also think if Larry Hogan doesn't run, we'll see more Republicans jump in. He is a very well-known, popular former governor, and if he decides not to run, and it looks like he is, if he decides not to run, then I think other people will jump in. But Senator Hershey is charming, and he is a very, very likable candidate, and certainly to conservatives.
What's the drop deadline, obviously besides the actual filing deadline? When do you think the former Governor Larry Hogan will make a decision?
I think he's going to have to make a decision pretty soon, to say the least. He's already running. It looks like he's raising funds. He's certainly making public policy speeches. You did a very good interview with him, trying to pin him down, to be honest, and his answers were wonderful. But, at some point you have to come out and say, I'm doing this. And when people like Senator Hershey jump into the race, it's a little bit more of a concern. You don't want to lose your base by waiting too long.
All right, Roger Hartley, I appreciate your time and insight as always. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This week, we asked what your priorities will be heading into next year's gubernatorial election. We'll take a look at your responses after the break.
Here's tonight's primetime lineup on Fox 45. Brought to you locally by your McDonald's owner-operators.
Tough times happen to everyone. At HK Buys Houses, we're your easy cash home buyers. One call to us and you don't have to worry about repairs, back taxes, or whatever challenge you find yourself in. We buy inherited or vacant houses, rentals, and foreclosures. Everything from severely damaged houses to nice homes that you just need to sell fast. So drop the hammer, stop the repairs, and give us a call today. No commissions, no fees, just cash. Fast for your as-is property. Call 410-709-CASH. That's 709-CASH.
Check their new game day fit. Oh, snap! DirecTV got hot.
That's right. DirecTV is flexing with all those pro and college games at your fingertips. This ain't your dad's cable, son. It's couture.
Okay, thank you so much. I was about to say that. It's couture.
He's inside the 20. End zone! Touchdown!
New customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, play your game. Toyota reliability for all your adventures. Built to perform, born to thrill. Toyota RAV4. Find yourself discovering more. Buy yours now and save with low 4.75% APR financing. Toyota, let's go places.
It bothered us too that your employees weren't taking full advantage of their retirement plans. So Vanguard created something to give them a little nudge. With Vanguard's Well on Your Way, 87% of employees took action to improve their financial well-being. Vanguard, discipline that delivers.
Back to school means busy mornings. Don't let cold showers or that mystery drip slow you down. Right now, get a water heater flush and complete plumbing inspection for just $49 from the plumbing experts at FH Firm. Act now and we'll throw in a water quality test absolutely free. Stay ahead of the school year rush. Contact FH Fur today.
877-CALL-FUR. FHFur.com.
This week, we asked what your priorities will be heading into the upcoming gubernatorial election. Let's take a look at what some of you had to say. Janet says holding youth accountable and crime. Lauren says one priority, get rid of more. Okay. Kevin says getting rid of the incumbent. Kelly says protecting constituents, not criminals. And Fred says electing a governor who helps all of Marylanders. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And that's it for this week's edition of Fox 45 News in Depth. I'm Mackenzie Frost. Mary?